Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm your host, Ellie Holder, and this is Investigator News, World News. Boy, I tell you, I was kind of waiting over the weekend because 46 U.S. military men and women were hurt, 38 attacks, one killed, and also U.S. contractors also killed. And we responded back one time, October 26th, sending two planes that dropped a couple explosives. Where's Biden on this? Most in Iraq and Syria is where they came from, supplied by Iran. Even Blinken didn't do much. He was booed in Iraq when he tried to make a public appearance. And the meeting really didn't go nowhere. Got a report that Iraq met up with Iran right afterwards, and they're shaking hands. Um, um, the social justice, social media, uh, um, the whole social division that we have worldwide, because we've got people that watch all over the world, and they're all telling me the same thing. So, what is this division? I mean, even when we had Black Lives Matter that came out, we didn't have division worldwide. Now, I have explained before, I think, what was it, Friday or Thursday or Friday? Thursday, that I really expressed how I felt. Was it? Yeah, it was Friday. No, it was Thursday. Ugh. No William today. That's my problem. All right. So the division of the world is Muslim versus Christian and Jewish people. Now, we're divided because of Hamas. Now, I heard something earlier today, and at first I was ready to throw the popcorn, Karen. I really was, because it was um, a program I watched that it just backed Israel all the way. And then today they changed their mind. And I went, whoa, wait a minute. Until I listened to the whole program. And at the very end, then they kind of made it clear. Now, the Palestinian people aren't the problem. See, that's where everybody's getting kind of confused. The Palestinian people, there are very nice ones that they want out and they'll never go back. They're not the ones yelling, Allah Akbar in the streets. They're not the ones that's letting Hamas roll um, launchers into their neighborhoods. I've even reported, Karen, I don't know if you remember, maybe even William remembers, that one story I had pulled up from Israel was they were pushing the rockets into a neighborhood, and the neighbors got out and beat these guys up that were in the truck. I don't know why they didn't pull guns. I don't know if they had guns or the circumstances. But they beat these guys up, and they got the truck and they took it back out of their neighborhood because they know what's going to happen. The same way with the hospitals, and I showed you the video of they launch them from either under the hospitals or next to the hospitals, or even they even fired over the weekend right next to a school and where the media was. I think they were directing it at the media, not necessarily the school, but they will fire upon schools. This is a terrorist army that has been able to build up over the decades. The Palestinian people, why did they stay? Well, because they weren't allowed out. Now, I had an article today, I'm not sure if I even have it or not, where they are able to start letting the Palestinian people out of Gaza. My suggestion is get out. It's only going to keep going. Netanyahu isn't going to stop. Is it wrong? Is it right? Well, we know if he does a ceasefire, what's going to happen. Because it's happened over and over again. Me and Williams have mentioned this. So the problem is the reaction around the world, like here in the States. William told you about um, the protests at the White House. Um, Now, Breitbart, let me see if I can get this. I got barky doggies. All right. Um, that's what it looked like, but today it was all covered up. And the problem is they mix, get this, they mix paint with cement, folks. So when they put the handprints on there, they can't get it off so easy. Now they have power washed these spots and they're not coming off very easily. But I wanted to show you because William told you about it, and I should have found this last night for William. There's a closer picture of it. This is on Breitbart. There's an even closer of it. Free Palestine. Um, Here's another picture. Here's one of the statues. Free Palestine. Um, Free Gaza. Here's another one that they got got hold of. Here's one, USA, Kenya, free. I don't even know what that is. Almost looks like free Utah or Ruth. No, I don't know. Destroy all of these places. So, um, outer Kenya, U.S. Um, and destroy the empire. I guess empire with a face that looks like it's puking. Of course, you got the Antifa symbol. Well, I can't show the oops. F Biden, and then here's more. Uh, Gag, I think, is what it says. NRAE. None of it makes sense. DEA. I don't know. Um, oh, I know what it is. They split up because they couldn't put death all together because it's DEA and then the TH is under it. We need to send these guys back to school. Because I think they could have even slanted it and got the whole word in there. You don't separate the words. No wonder you can't understand what they're saying. So, death to the United States, and that was all over their signs. Death to America. This was in D.C. and they're saying death to America, free Palestine, free Ireland. I don't even know. Um, uh, um, I already let everybody know about the trannies. The Muslims aren't going to go for that. And you know, I heard today that the most gay people are in Israel. Well, I called I didn't call. I got a hold of a friend and said, "Is that true?" And he says, "Heck no, they're Christians. They don't allow that. That's not where them." He said most of them are in California. They're in the United States. I said, "Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought." Yeah, but Karen, you got a good point there. Um, and the Secret Service did nothing to get them off the fence. Now, if I would have got on the fence, if I would have spray painted, you know what they'd done to me? They'd slam me to the ground. They'd hog tie me, and they'd carry me away. Probably even let the dog bite me. Biden's dogs. Yeah, that's who the Secret Service needs is Biden's dogs. They bite. That'd be a good one for them to have. Um, all right, so community watch. Police not welcome. Yeah, they know they. You know why they don't like the police? Because the police will lock them up. There's them. I'm not going to watch it. It takes me to Twitter, and it's not a very good video. So, but that is, I just wanted to show the pictures to you because William did such a good job talking about it last night. So, and hello to William. William, I'm letting William kick his feet up and have gravy with the dog tonight. Yeah, my dogs are excited. Yeah, we're having pork chops. Oh yeah, they keep going in and looking. keep going in and looking. They know what I'm going to do. So anyway, I did want to share that with you. And you know what even gets me more is when, this was given to me by my ladies at the Capitol. A Democrat congresswoman suggests black voters are too dumb to understand politics. That's why 22% have switched sides to the GOP. Well, no, they're hearing the truth. They're hearing the truth of the matter that it wasn't, it wasn't um, the Republicans that segregated them and oppressed them. It was the Democrats. And the House Democrats suggest this Sunday that any black Americans are moving away from the president, Joe Biden, and and toward former Donald Trump or the GOP is because they're unable to understand civics. Representative Jasmine Crockett in Texas appeared on CNN in the State of the Union, where she spoke about, so you can go watch it. She spoke about the new polling from the New York Times and shows that Biden in big trouble to head matchups in a serial of swing states. And we got the vote today. The survey was released just 1 year before voters head to the polls to show Biden struggling. Now, you know, I do my own polls, and they had him about 41%. I don't think so. Now, they give you those plus or minus numbers. You can add them or subtract them. Well, they always have, I always subtract them and go through and do my own. He's about 37%, and Trump is about 45. So almost a 10-point difference. I go with my polls, folks. But, you know, what they need to do is they need to put cameras on these boxes or the drop boxes. That would totally, I mean, we've got ring cams. There's cameras all over. It's not going to cost much more to put a camera on these boxes. And, you know, it's only, you're only trying to be safe. And so your vote would be safe. So this woman, the great concern is the biggest liability is one thing that Biden can't change. Among all the unpredictables, there's only one thing sure. The age arrow only points in one direction, and it's not good. And so Black Americans are equally affected in voting a demographic. And they're in blue states, most of them, they say, mostly in blue states where they're being, the cost of living's too high, the crime rate. They don't like police officers. Chicago has been screaming for the National Guard or more police officers for how many years? About, Karen, what? Since we've been going. Right before we got going, I was met that lady at Court TV and with the ladies at the Capitol. And she ended up being a hardcore Democrat because she thought if she did, she might be able to change things. Well, then we got in Lori Lightfoot. And, oh boy. Yeah, wasn't that a mess? What's the new one doing? Yeah, I went and I looked, and it's like crime's up even further than her. So, yeah. And then all of a sudden you got those paid DAs and even the public defenders, folks. Don't think that they don't pay off them public defenders to make sure you get punished. And then the judges, like the ones in charge of Trump, telling him the thing with Trump, and the only thing I'm going to say about that trial is he said he didn't want to hear what Trump had to say. What? And then he's arguing with the lawyers. What kind of judge argues? You know, they just keep order in the court. That's what they're there for, to decide and keep order of the courts. I've never seen anything like this. I watch a lot of trials, and I've never seen a judge like this one. He needs to retire after this. Yeah, he's the worst. Yeah, he's the worst. Okay, I got a lot of stuff here. Um, so the IRS is now, and I'm not sure how to take this. They launched an audit into the organization that helped tank Biden's nominees. So, didn't they audit them already? Now they're going to re-audit them. Why? Because they're forced to under subpoena, under a court order to do so. Investigating the tax exempt status of American Accountability Foundation following its reporting that Joe Biden nominees, several of them withdrew their nominations, according to a letter obtained by the Daily Caller. The IRS is requesting AAF submit internal financial data as well as all communications, including meeting notes, publication newsletters, statements, bank statements, any letters to and from each other, any text messages, and phone calls. The letter from the IRS to the AAF, obtained by the DCNF, the Conservation Nonprofit Organization, conservative, I'm sorry, which the IRS approved for tax exempt status in 2021. It alleges the investigation is in retaliation for AAA reporting on several recent Biden nominees who later withdrew their nominations and now don't want to be contacted. This suddenly, the request by the IRS is not random. The AAF president, Tom Jones, of all people. I kept hearing Tom Jones songs after I read this. Didn't that make, if I wouldn't have said nothing, you guys wouldn't have, what is it? It's not unusual to be loved by you or something like that. What'd he sing? What Tom Jones sing? Not the same Tom Jones, but the IRS is demanding correspondence files, emails, information posted on any of their websites that relates to the current public elected officials. Clearly a sign that they are targeting our research and education activities. It's a deliberate attempt to punish and suppress AAF activities. For instance, Biden's FFC chair nominee, Gigi Sohn, donated several to the Senate Commerce and Democrats, including a 550 to Senator Warnock of Georgia. Others like Senator Cortez, Masto, John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, um, Michael Bennett. That not only that, but the Washington Examiner. So the AAF sent a letter to Bennett, Cortez, Mastos, Fetterman, Warnock, calling on the lawmakers that received contributions to recuse themselves from voting on Sohn's nomination and call for his withdrawal. Uh, so it looks like they're starting to get caught up. They're starting to get caught up in their own bad habits. Now, get this. I believe it wasn't it Dinesh D'Souza. I think he made $100 donation to somebody and they put him in prison for it. Obama did. I think it was like either $100 too much or something, and he just didn't know. And didn't know and gave a donation to a politician, and wham, they took him. Well, the only reason why they took him is because he made a documentary about Obama, how horrible he is. He should have done more. He should have done more. I think Fast and Furious needs to come out because when we're seeing guns on our streets with no serial numbers that they trace back to Fast and Furious, lots of them, hundreds of them. I think that needs to be looked into. And then we hear that Obama, Biden didn't feel confident enough with the AI. And so he's bringing Obama in to help make decisions with AI. Well, to me, I think Obama's been there all along. He's the one sitting in the basement, just keeping Biden's chair warm until he's got a rally again. He's going to maybe go to the basement again. He's better there because they could put the speech right in front of him and he could say whatever. But we're finding out not many Democrats are supporting him now. Huh? Yeah. I mean, I wish I had cheers I could play, yay or clapping. Too old, too old. And they say, what's too old? Well, when you have a mind and you're not there, you're too old. Now I'm thinking Grassy's getting too old. Now is Trump too old? No, no. Um, let's see, who was it I found? I watched an interview on. She is 76 years old, Barbara Eden, and she was quick as a whip. Nothing wrong, and beautiful, still very beautiful. See, but some people. My grandmother got Alzheimer's at 30 years old. And her brain was gone by the time she was close to 60 years old. See, it depends. It depends on the person. And Biden, unfortunately, it's time. It's time. It's time for him to say, no, I'm not going to run and move aside. And maybe AOC want to run. Maybe T-Lob wants to run. Maybe Fetterman. Maybe Bernie Sanders again. Bernie Sanders, yeah. Maybe Hillary. Lots of them that could jump in and take a whack at it. But right now, only 30, 32%, I think I had it written down. I think it's 32% approve, has an approval rating of what Biden and this administration is doing. Now, we all know Ducey. He gets in there and he jumps in with questions. And he said, okay, so what's the plan? And the press secretary, Pierre, or whatever her name is, she didn't understand the question. He says, okay, if you guys feel this, and this is working and you raise the cost of living and the costs are going up, the gas is going up, everything's going up, what's the plan for this following year? And she said, the country is running so well and costs are down and Christmas is around the corner and that they have done a better job than most presidents have ever done. Okay, whatever. I have a feeling they're going to replace her. Yeah. Um, and then they asked about Biden's dogs. And she says, well, I've never had any problems with them. Why not? If I was Biden's dog, I'd bite her. I'd bite her twice, maybe even 3 times. Yeah, I don't believe that. I bet he bit her on the bones at least a couple dozen times. She deserves it. Speaking of dogs, though, and this is something I knew a long time ago, and it didn't dawn on me till I seen this article, and it's with the Western Journal. Dogs are traditionally seen as impure by Muslims and Islamists. So they are using a lot of dogs down in the tunnels to force the terrorists out of the tunnels. And many Muslims feel dogs are impure beasts and deserve to die. See, they say the same thing about Christians and Jews. Death to America. So the IDF attack dogs, go after Hamas, ISIS, terrorists in the tunnels in Gaza Strip. Did everybody forget ISIS is there? And we have these colleges that are supporting, yay, Hamas. They're saying, yay, ISIS, death to America. Isn't that what they wrote in Washington, D.C. on our monuments, death to America? I showed it to you. Really. So the college students now want death to America. So anyway, they're sending these dogs down, and it appears a lot of people are wearing protective gear on their arms. So the dogs are latching on, and they are breaking through their clothing. And when they latch on, they're not letting go. They're not letting go, and they pull them. And some of these dogs are big enough to pull some of these little guys right out of the tunnels. The rest of them just run. So, yeah, they don't like dogs. They don't like dogs. Um, now this one, boy, I hated it. I hated to see this. So this one here, folks, was in Western Journal, but it was on um, NBC, ABC. They did do a story on this one. It's a nursing home horror. Um, a nurse charged with murder confessing to trying to kill 19 patients using insulin to overdose them. Uh, she she has admitted to trying to kill 19 patients, and maybe even that 19 or more before, but she's not sure because they did die, but she's not sure if it was her or natural causes. Heather Presti was accused of trying to kill 3 people through insulin overdoses and got caught at a care facilities where she worked. 2 of the patients did die. On Thursday, the Pennsylvania Attorney General, Michelle Henry, announced in a news release new charges had been filed as they have found she did try to kill 19 other people, 5 at different facilities where she worked between 2020 and 2023. She's 41 years old and she's been a nurse for at least 20 years. She has 17 counts of attempted murder, 19 counts of neglect of care-dependent person. Attempted murder is charged in these cases where the victims either survived the excessive dose or the cause of death could not be determined. She said she sensed the victims would just pull through for the most part. There's a pattern of her taking additional measures to try to kill the victims before they could be sent to the hospital, either by administering a second dose right before they left, or use air and forced air or no air to ensure the death. And that's the criminal complaint that was against her. Of course, her nursing license is suspended. And admitted to harming with intent to kill all patients named in a court affidavit. The news release said her victims range from 43 to 104 years old. Sick people. And it did not list. What I was wanting to know is where the facilities were, but they did not list the names. They didn't even show the affidavit like some of the times they will. They'll show the documents and charges. They didn't this time. And they didn't say which facilities. So if you're in Pennsylvania and you have a family member, keep an eye. If they were sick in the last 2 years, find out if this nurse worked there. What was her name again? I should have, Presti, Pressdee is her last name, Presti. So if you got family members in all around Pennsylvania, probably Philadelphia, she was charged with 2 murders, definitely, 17 attempted, and admits that she tried to kill 19 plus. So keep your family safe. All right, I'm going to kind of move on here. Um, there's now footage, and it was IDF soldiers in Gaza during the ground attempts. They have been able to reveal ground defense of Hamas. Despite the claims made by Hamas and its defender, more proof has emerged exposing the fact that the terrorist group routinely used Palestinian civilians as human shields. We knew this, but it's not getting through to the brains of the rest of the world, that the social people that say, oh, that's not happening. That's a lie. It's propaganda. It's not happening. They're using Palestinian civilians as human shields. Where? Well, in these videos, they're showing the bombing buildings like schools and hospitals and other places. Those who have paid attention to overall Israel Palestinian conflict understand that this is how terrorist group operates. Me and Williams talked about it. War isn't pretty. When they were gathering up a lot of the Palestinian children, the Palestinians, they would put them in the schools or they take them to the hospitals. Those are the ones they are blowing up. And they say, oh, look what Israel has done. Look at what Israel did. And what's underneath the hospitals and the schools. Yep. They say, according to Palestinians, 4,000 children, Palestinian children, have been massacred by Israel. Really? Well, if they're firing upon Israel, it's the same way as the Ukraine and Russia with Putin. Ukraine isn't firing into Russia. It's firing at the soldiers in that area. Same way with Hamas and Hezbollah, and even the Iranian and ISIS and Iranian proxies. They're firing into Gaza where soldiers are. So they're blowing up buildings too. But at least the Israeli president is making the point to say leave. But you know what? How can they leave if they're being held as human shields? How can they leave if it's blocked? Well, they did unblock it for, I think, 500 to leave. But hopefully, tomorrow, me and William, again, maybe we'll talk about what happens next. Everything changes because they can't go nowhere. They can't stay in Gaza. Even Lebanon said, nope. Syria, maybe Syria. They may have hope in Syria. Do we want? Are they peaceful Muslims? I don't know. And Thursday, I think I'll have a really good show because I want to go over the history of who the Palestinians are, where they come from. Is Israel theirs legally? So you have to definitely watch. So, but I wanted to, go over this with you because the IDF did find another video that's showing atrocities. It's showing more videos of using human shields, and it's their own people. I don't understand the protesters. I guess I never will. And the Iranian group, they're recruiting suicide bombers now. And they say, death to Israel, death to the U.S. Of course, they keep saying this. Is it time for a jihad? It could be. It could be. As demonstrators all over the Western world call for Israel blood, because you ask them, oh, we're going to kill them. We are going to kill all Israelis and Jewish people and Christians. Isn't that genocide? And then they say, oh, Hamas and the Palestinians, it's a genocide, what Israel's doing. War isn't pretty. So the Iranian group has put up posters looking for people who already traveled to Israel. The group called Hezbollah the party of Allah, which is a distinct from the wholly owned, operated of Iran. Uh, they're operating under that name in Lebanon and other places like Syria and Iraq. And they make their way to the Jewish state. Why? Because they want to insert themselves in regular clothing. And inside, they say Israel and death to America. They said they're going to mingle in plain clothes with bombs. So I don't know. They keep saying death to America. And I hope I'm not going to get a strike for that. But folks, you got to, that's their whole point. That's their whole point. And guess what they were chanting over the weekend? We don't want 2 states. We want 48 plus 2. Yeah, that was part of and then they had that little song that said, they wanted to kill all the Jewish people. But that's what they were chanting, not just 2 states. So what's the 2? Michigan and what? I've missed something, but so they know they have 2 states that they've taken over, and then they want 48 more, and they said we'll get it. A death to Israel, death to America. That's the college students. That ain't Hezbollah, folks. That's what the college students were chanting, and that's what they were chanting in D.C. You just got to bring out the truth. So is it time for a jihad and Iran to step in? According to them, they're only going to let Hezbollah, their favorite little group of terrorists, that will go and do this. It's almost like what they call that in Japan, kamikaze, where they would get in the planes and then they would crash them into the boats. That's what they're doing. They're like the Boston bomber for the Boston race, where they threw backpacks along the side. But they're going to strap them on. Why? Because, if they do this, you know what they get? They get a spot in heaven with marble buildings and marble floors. They're served of gold and silver and precious gems. They're served the best foods, the best wines. And then they get the virgins. And every time they have an activity with them, they re-become virgins. So every time they I guess, have sex, I guess I could say it that way, the women in their heaven turn back virgin again. And it happens forever. That's why they do what they do. Wow. And so the election, there is a good possibility we'll flip the Senate seats. I'm not even going to ask Karen. I know Karen voted. She said that's why she wasn't at the first show. It was right about election time for many, many states. We are seeing a change in this country. 22% of African Americans are now wanting to be GOP members or part of the GOP. They want to be conservative. A lot of them want to be independent. Even if we get 16% of African Americans in the conservative vote, it will flip. It will change. But we just got to get people in there to vote. And we got to do something about them drop boxes. Virginia legislator, it's a blue state. It could turn red, they're saying. Then Kentucky governor, incumbent Democrat Andy Beshear, is looking to win the re-election. Maybe. But Daniel Cameron seems to have surged to take the lead over the Democrat voters because of the economy. Ohio ballot measures, quite a few. They're voting on parental rights, restrictions on abortions, open door, all kinds of legal challenges designed to protect victims of abuse and human trafficking, as well as unborn children who can feel the pain, they say. I believe there's also voting on drugs, whether or not to make marijuana uh, uh, legal. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves, um, he's looking to win. He said the Democrat Brandley Presley, a relative of rock and roll king, has mounted a very big challenge to him. But he's thinking, um, unfortunately, it showed him ahead at 52%, and Mr. Presley very low in the 40s. Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Keystone state voters will elect a new Supreme Court justice on today, filling the vacancy created by the death of the former Chief Justice Max Baer in 2022. The Republican candidate, Lucio, did I say that right, Karen? Is up against Daniel McCaffrey for the state Superior Court judge. Rhode Island congressional special vote. They will, their first congressional district will choose a new U.S. representative on today between Jerry Leonard and Gabe Emo to serve out the final months of the term started by Democrat David Cicilline. So, let's see, and that is pretty much what I had on that. So, Karen, that's going to be a very special vote for you for a new Supreme Court seat that came open. We need to talk about the trucking industry, and they're warning of flaws in Washington's electrical vehicle plans. They said it's just not going to work. Just not going to work. They said it would cost over $250,000 for a truck driver to change over, and they don't make that money. Some of these, like I don't know if you see Pam or there's a few others out there. They don't pay their drivers. Their drivers don't make squat. It's a bad industry. You have to really watch what the trucking industry is really doing. They had a meeting, and they were saying that it has fatal flaws, and the plan could derail the trucking industry in being able to, for the smaller private owned trucks, that they really don't have that kind of money. Now, when you're talking a fleet and a company, they're even saying they do not have the 250 to 500,000 per truck to set it up. So they're saying that this is they have no ground in reality, was one of the biggest statement that they made. The state's goal of shifting EV faces numerous logistical and practical obstacles. One is infrastructure, according to the council. They say, the state need 3 million charging ports by 2030, and it would require building 250,000 or more annually, starting this year. The prices aren't going down; it's going up. And the trucking industry said they're even trying to keep Christmas down, and they're unable to do it. And they said Christmas will be up this year. We thought the candy was horrible. Get in there and get your turkeys. Get your turkeys. Yep. Uh, I got a butterball that was right about $1 a pound. Usually they're about $1.20. I think they're almost $2 a pound this year. Wow. Okay. Speaking of the EVs, um, more than half of the United States offshore contracts are being canceled on the wind generators because they just don't have the money. The state doesn't have the money to fix them. They're being canceled quickly at this point. Um, in October, the New York authorities denied the request from wind developers about four offshore wind products when they said no. Um, they've got 86 land projects they want to do. Uh, but last week's cancellation, the project plan for the coast of New Jersey accounted for 2 gigawatts of total canceled contracts. The prospects for a dozen offshore the United States is uncertain now if they'll be able to replace, fix, or even put up new ones at this point. They said that in the studies shown by scientists and others and ecologists, um, not economists, ecologists, that they are finding that this would only fix our planet and with clean air and clean Green New Deal, maybe by 1.5% to 2%. So their plan didn't work. Yeah, I agree with Ducey. What's the plan, Pierre? Yeah, what's the plan? I still think the dog bit her on the buns. Um, Nashville shooter wanted to kill white people. She called, I was going to get all them little crackers. So a lot's coming out on her. So she didn't like white people. And she was going to kill as many as those little white crackers she could shoot, it said in her manifesto at the school. And then there would be no more white crackers. Wow. Now, um, Canada got hold of the Biden administration because they had a migrant charged with murder, I believe. I gotta. No, I'm sorry, human smuggling near a Canadian Vermont border. They caught many times the Swanton Sector Border Patrol agents arrested a Colombian migrant in Vermont for allegedly smuggling a group of Mexican migrants across the Canadian border. The Colombian migrant illegally entered the U.S. in Texas just over a year ago, and they're being released by the Biden administration on immigration parole with the fact they'll come back and do their court date. Oh boy, William, what do you think? I'm almost to the end. Um, so if you guys know about Thomas Sowell, I'm sorry, Sowell, I think is how you pronounce his name. Now he's got a book coming out that wrecks social justice warriors. And if you haven't listened to him before, go listen to him. He's on YouTube. Sowell. More than 100 years ago, the Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes observed the popular catchwords constant critical thinking for 50 years or more. So even if we correct it, he says, it'll be 50 years before we'll be able for this Generation Z, for a new generation to come in, strong enough to fight Generation Z. He said many years, in some cases, even centuries or more. The evidence was really revealing these words to be nonsense, but the media is using it. Consider, for example, the term social justice. It is predicated on assumption that institutional discrimination is the primary reason for differences among groups of people, whether among races and economic classes or even between the sexes. It assumes that if we're not much for discrimination. They said they will cause discrimination. Okay. I'm looking to see if I got anything else. Okay. So his book now, the social justice. What he's looking into is this woke thing, and what he's saying is the same thing I am. When you have one, uh, when these protests. Now BLM never wanted to say let's get Whitey and kill him. They never ever said that. They never said they were going to eliminate the white race. This is way different, folks. This is where I started at the beginning of the show. And um, when you listen to the words, because I went and listened to all their chants, an hour's worth of their chanting, to hear what they were saying. And when we have them burning the flag of Israel, okay, I can understand that. And then they burn, as soon as they're done with the Israel flag, they burn the American flag. Why? You know what? When I seen that little boy that went by and he flipped off the flag out front, and he was going to moon the POW flag, I thought, where are the patriotic songs in our schools? We used to. I mean, we used to do them all. There's quite a few. The national anthem, and what about "This Land Is Your Land"? Do you remember that one? This is their land. This land is your land. Respect it. This land is my land. I respect it. From California to New York waters. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. This land is made for you and me. It's not a foreign country or foreign land, folks. It's your land, it's my land, from shore to shore. And that's what's missing in our schools. That's what's missing from our kids. Remind them. Remind these kids. Generation Z is right about 20 years old, but it goes all the way to the 40-year-olds. Ask them how they feel. And the economy may be bad. There may not be the jobs. You may be totally disheartened with what is going on in the borders and everything. But this land is your land. This land is my land. And we need to learn how to respect it and keep it beautiful. It's not make America great again. How about keep America beautiful? Do you remember when TVs used to sign off and the Indian was standing there? The car goes by and throws garbage at his feet. And he's had that tear because it was his land and he wants to keep it beautiful. Where are the commercials that help us get a proud sense that of the United States? It's not making it great again. Yes, we're going to make it great again, but let's keep it beautiful and respect it. That is it for tonight. And I want to thank everyone for watching. Subscribe and hit the thumbs up. And wrong button. Um, one last thing. these kids are grandkids, 5 to 10 years old. Get them off those games, folks. Get them off the games. There's so many predators on Xbox and Discord, I think is what it's called. Yeah, I mean, it's fine for an adult, but so many pedophiles have been arrested that said, yeah, and they said, where do you hunt? Where are you hunting for kids? And they said 5 to 10-year-olds on Xbox. Just be careful. I just wanted to add that in. I had it on my notes. Let's pray for Israel, pray for Gaza, even pray for the Palestinians that aren't that bad. There are some, and we don't need their kids assassinated and killed. The children are precious. So subscribe, hit the like button, ring my bell if you're not getting notified. And we will see everyone tomorrow, me and William with the World War III report. I thank you all for watching and have a wonderful evening.